Hello, my name's Stuart and I'm a building surveyor. I'll explain what that is later on. I didn't always want to be a building surveyor. I only did this after I was about 30 years old. I'm 53 years old now, believe it or not. I tried lots of different jobs before this one, and I might even try a few more before I retire. I think growing up, my ideal job would have been a professional football player or a professional rugby player, but I soon realised I wasn't good enough to do either of these, so I had to get a proper job. I also wanted to be a spaceman. I went to Netherall School in Maryport, and I started off really well. I was quite a good student, but I think I just lost a bit of interest, got a bit bored, got more interested in playing sport, so I didn't do particularly well with my exams. I liked doing history, I liked doing PE, and I liked English, but I wasn't too good at maths, and I didn't do too well in my exams. I think I just didn't try hard enough. I was a little bit lazy, to be honest. I left school just after I was 16, because you could do that then, and I left to join the Royal Marines, and it was very tough. It was really hard training. The training lasted for 8 months. And at the end of all of that training, learning how to be a soldier and how to get really fit, it finished with a week's commando tests. And after that week, you're allowed to call yourself a Royal Marines Commando, and you're awarded your Green Beret. So on that final week, we had to do a 9-mile speed march carrying full rifle and equipment. We had to do an endurance course, which is lots of swimming through lakes and under water-filled tunnels, and climbing on ropes, and then running back to camp and completing a marksmanship course. And then there was a Tarzan assault course, which was lots of swinging on ropes and jumping across chasms. And the final test was a 30-mile speed march. So that's a bit further than a marathon, but it was running again, carrying full equipment, rifle and pack, wearing boots, running across Dartmoor, and you only had, I think it was 7 hours to do that in. And once we completed the 30-mile speed march, we were presented with our Green Beret, which was probably my most coveted possession. So this is what Royal Marine Commandos are allowed to wear. No other forces are allowed to wear a Green Beret. So that's the sign of a commando. So commandos are a bit like special forces. They're elite soldiers. We are trained to attack in small numbers from the sea or from the air, and also we train in the Arctic as well, so learning how to attack on skis. And we also serve on board ships in the Royal Navy, which I did for about 18 months. So I travelled all around the world on board a ship, and I liked kind of the commando ethos, and they had core values, and I think my favourite one of these was that you were always, commandos always remain cheerful in the face of adversity. So that means it doesn't matter how bad things get, you always maintain a sense of humour to get you through that. You never let things get on top of you, and I think that's been a good kind of value throughout my life. When I left the Royal Marines, I became a builder. I learned how to lay bricks, and I worked on construction sites in Cumbria, in London, and in Germany. And after that, I decided to go to university and learn how to become a building surveyor. I got a degree in building surveying, and that's really what I've been doing ever since. Although I did spend about 7 years working as a lecturer, teaching other people how to be building surveyors at university in Newcastle, and I also ran my own business for a while here in Cumbria. I now work for a company called Edwin Thompson, and I'm based in Keswick. So we do all different types of surveying. We also sell houses, and we also do architecture and design. Building surveyors do lots of things, and that's really what I like about it. There's lots of variety, and you're constantly tested and challenged pretty much every day. I survey houses and other buildings, like commercial buildings, like factories and shops, for anyone who wants to buy them. And I tell the person who's buying it if there's any problems with that building. So lots of my job is not being dressed nice in an office. So I will wear overalls and a hard hat, and I'll crawl around the roofs in old buildings and crawl under the floors and try to find out what the problems are. I also kind of tell people and design repairs to buildings where there's problems. The other area of work I get involved with is architecture and design. So some of the equipment I use when I'm out surveying, things like these. So I push these pins into walls, and that will tell me if the wall's damp enough. So you can see how that moves up. So that's telling me, that's reading the kind of blood in my finger, the damp levels passing through the pins. I've got this that tells me how hot and cold walls are, to tell me if there's condensation. I use things like this, which is a laser measure, so that allows me to measure buildings up and draw plans up to show how the building looks. Finally, just talking a little bit more about myself, my own hobbies are mainly, I guess, playing guitar. I've been trying to learn how to play guitar. I won't demonstrate because I'm pretty awful. I've been trying to learn it for about 20 years and not getting any better, really. I also like surfing. I recently got a stand-up paddleboard, which I like to do out in the sea off Maryport and also in the lakes. I like making bread and I like reading. And just spending time with my family, really, as much as I can. I used to play rugby quite a lot, but I don't do this anymore. But I now help out with coaching the girls' team at Netherall Rugby Club. People who inspired me, I think my dad inspired me more than anyone when I was younger, when I was at school. He was a really good rugby player, and he was the captain of Netherall Rugby Club, and they managed to win the Cumbria Cup on 2 occasions. Other people who inspire me, I guess, are a lot of women in this world who somehow manage to raise families and children, look after the husbands, run businesses, keep jobs going, and generally tend to do everything, usually without complaining. People like my wife and my mum, really. Other people that inspire me would be people like Gandhi, and like Nelson Mandela, people who keep trying against all the odds and eventually succeed without bullying or harming people or without having lots of money. And they just tend to do this through just keeping trying and through being very honest. Yeah, and that's it, really. So thanks for listening.